Aloha, future leaders of America. Let's take a look at one more section of IXL, number R11, trigonometry, ratios, find an angle measure. This is a similar approach to number 10 in the setup, and then it's a little different work to solve it. You do use your calculator again here. I'm on the Desmos calculator. You can see the name up at the top. I just noticed that, finally. But let's click on this and get into it and see what's going on. I got my SOHCAHTOA up there to remind me what my angles are. Ooh, I got some radicals in here, but that's not a big deal. On here, wasn't expecting to see those, but let's see. So I want to find angle R. Let's come down here. Let's turn on my pen. So here's angle R. There's my right angle. That makes this my hypotenuse. This is my adjacent leg because it's connected to the angle R. Hypotenuse is also connected to it, but it's across from the right angle. So adjacent and hypotenuse, that's feeding my, I want a new color. Let's go white. My cosine's got adjacent and hypotenuse in it there. And so, again, like I did in the previous video, I'm thinking cosine of some angle equals the adjacent leg over the hypotenuse. I fill in the information I have. I want to know angle R, so that's the angle I'm using. I got cosine of angle R equals 2 root 6 over 4 root 3. Now you can leave it like that. You don't have to change it. You can could reduce this a little bit since those are both under the square root. This would equal 2 root 2. 6 over 3 is 2 over 4. And I could reduce this to root 2 over 2. Already know what that angle is going to be. Actually, that's kind of a classic one. When you get into Algebra 2, you'll know that number a little bit better there. And now we got to put it in the calculator a little bit. So we're going to do, now this is where we use those cosine inverse functions again. So inverse, since I'm using cosine, I'm going to use cosine inverse. This -1, that means inverse. Okay. I can show you that in class if you want to see why that's called inverse. So I'm really thinking cosine, taking the cosine inverse of this side because these basically cancel out, and the cosine inverse of this. So I'm going to have the measure of angle R equals cosine inverse, and I could use any of these. I'm going to use the root 2 over 2. That's the simplest. So let's plug that into our calculator up here. Cosine, I need to clear it. Cosine inverse, notice it's got the parentheses. I got to go back, square root of 2. Now I got to get out of there. I can't do this under the root. The square root divided by 2. That looks right. Close off those parentheses. And you can see I got 45 degrees. Now I just want to show you that some of these other values work also here too. So let me just change it here, make that 2, make that 4. So I've got this number in there right now. And you can still see that's coming out to 45 degrees. It's the same angle. So you don't have to do those reductions. You might in other problems, not particularly in this one. And I could also do this, 2 root 6 over 4 square root 3. Again, there's that 45 degree angle up there. So you can see that's coming up to 45, even with my crummy handwriting. So those are all coming up to 45. I recognize that from the 45, 45, 90 pattern. and what you learn about in Algebra 2, the unit circle. So I come in here, I'm going to, what does it say? Find the measure of angle R. Normally it would say to the nearest degree. It doesn't say that because it knew it came up to an integer. And we got it correct. Okay. So let's look at our next problem. Clear off my workspace. Got my SOHCAHTOA up there, so I'm looking at angle Z. That's up here. This is my adjacent leg. This is my hypotenuse. So that's feeding my cosine again. I wish it would come up with something different. Oh well. So I'm going to have cosine of angle Z equals 5 root 13 over 10 root 13. Know what this one's going to be too. This is going to be a 60-degree angle. This is our 30, 60, 90 problem. These cancel out. That's 5 over 10, or 1/2, or 0.5. Any of those numbers will work. I'm doing my cosine inverse. My cosine inverse of whichever one of these I want to use. These cancel out, so the measure of angle Z equals cosine inverse. I'm just going to use 0.5. Clear all. Function, cosine inverse. Go back to my main one, 0.5. Close that puppy. There's our 60 degrees as I said it would be. So that's 60 degrees. Submit. This is another 30, 60, 90 triangle. 45, 45, 90 triangle. You can see because it's got the congruent legs here. I don't even need to do this trig work on these. So like I said, 45, I can see that right away. Up there, that's experience. Again, I can see the root 3 from the short leg to the long leg. That's a 60. These are way too easy. Here's one that's a little bit different. Angle H. That wasn't supposed to happen like that. Nope. This is messing up. We're back with a slightly different screen here. So first off, be careful. This isn't our 3, 4, 5 triple. Because you got the 3 and the 5, you put a 4 there. Why doesn't that make sense? That's the hypotenuse. That needs to be the longest side. 4 is clearly not the longest side. So that can't work there. Okay. So let's get rumbling on this. We want to find angle H, which is this down here. For angle H, this is my opposite leg. This is my adjacent leg. Together those feed, what color needed? Blue. Those feed my tangent. There's opposite and adjacent. So again, I didn't write it out here. Yeah, some of these adjustments didn't come back the way I wanted them. My tangent, so I'm thinking again, tangent of some angle. I didn't write this on the last problem, but you don't need to. Opposite over adjacent. So we have tangent of angle H equals 5 over 3. Thinking tangent inverse of each side. So that leaves measure of angle H equals tangent inverse 5 over 3. And again, this is where you want to be careful a little bit, because 5 over 3 equals 1.6 repeating, and you can get some different numbers for that. So we'll show you that in just a second here. So let's clear this off. Function, tangent inverse. Go back to the main, 5 divided by 3. Close at 59 degrees. We can see there we're rounding to the nearest degree. Measure of angle H equals 59. So here's where you got to be careful if you put those decimals in there, depending on how you round them. I could go 1.7. Geez, that's 1.666 rounded up to 1.7. That would go to 60 degrees. That's a different answer. Now I put in 1.67. You can see there's the 59.8. I put in another 6, and it's going to get closer and closer and closer to what I had when I just had our 5 divided by 3. So, got to be careful with that. Too much rounding can cause some problems too early in the problem. So that's 59 degrees. Let's come in, put that in, 59, check it, we're awesome. I don't think there's much else in here. That's all pretty much going to be it. Decimals don't really make a difference. That's a little higher level. So, hey, hope that helps, kiddos. You all have a good one. We'll catch you later. I am out.